A wealthy man fell in love with a beautiful prostitute, but he did not know how to express his feelings for her. Early in the morning, Edward wanted Vivian to buy a few more outfits but noticed she was not in high spirits. The day before, she had walked into a luxury boutique and the saleswoman immediately recognized what she was, a trace of disgust flashing in her eyes. Vivian did not notice and picked out the most expensive dress in the store. The saleswoman assumed she could not afford it and told her to leave. Faced with such humiliation, Vivian stood there awkwardly for a moment before leaving in a hurry. Edward put his work aside and took her shopping himself. Once inside the store, the owner personally greeted Edward and called in all the staff to give Vivian a full makeover from head to toe. For the first time, she experienced the joy of shopping. Hours later, when she stepped back out onto the street, she was completely transformed, and even the world around her seemed warmer. That night, the two of them relaxed together in the bathtub. Edward opened up about his family. Just as the two were growing closer, a conflict nearly destroyed their relationship. Edward took Vivian to a polo match and introduced her to his friends. His lawyer saw her spending time with the grandson of an old man and suspected she was a corporate spy. Edward explained who she really was. The lawyer burst out laughing, mocking Edward for being so rich yet choosing a prostitute. Edward brushed it off, but later the lawyer took advantage of his absence to make crude advances toward Vivian. In that moment, her dignity shattered. For a few days, she had almost forgotten who she was, but now she was sober and she was still the same lowly prostitute. Back at the hotel, they had their first heated argument. Fighting to keep his temper, Edward pulled out some cash and threw it onto the couch. When she left, he glanced back and realized she had not taken a single bill. Only then did he understand that all Vivian wanted was respect. He ran after her, sincerely apologized, and admitted it bothered him to see her talking to another man. Feeling his care for her, Vivian softened. After making up, they were closer than ever. Vivian even told him how she had first entered the business. The next day, Edward planned a special date. Vivian wore a red dress, and he chartered a plane to take her to Italy for an opera. She was deeply moved by the love story on stage, her eyes filling with tears. Even after the performance ended, she was still immersed in the emotion, longing for a pure love like the one in the opera. That night, Edward was exhausted. As he slept, Vivian could no longer hold back her feelings. They fell asleep in each other's arms, and her soft murmurs made Edward realize they could never walk away untouched soon. It was their last day together. Vivian's expression was full of sorrow. Edward told her he wanted to see her again, but to her disappointment, what he offered was an arrangement to keep her as his mistress. She refused without hesitation. That afternoon, he was supposed to sign a deal to acquire the old man's company, but at the last moment, he stopped the meeting and asked to speak to the man alone. Instead of buying him out, he offered to help him save the business. When the lawyer learned of Edward's change of heart, he was furious but had no outlet for his anger. He went to Edward's hotel and found Vivian there. Convinced she was the reason for Edward's transformation, he hurled cruel insults at her and put his hands on her despite her protests. Fortunately, Edward arrived in time, physically threw the lawyer out, and made it clear he would not tolerate such behavior. Edward tenderly applied ice to Vivian's injuries, but she decided to end their financial arrangement immediately. She coldly refused his request to stay one more night, and with tears in her eyes, she parted ways with him. Back home, Vivian decided to leave the city and continue her education. When Edward was checking out of the hotel, a single comment from the manager made him realize the truth. He bought flowers, went to Vivian's building, and overcame his fear of heights to climb the fire escape. The two of them embraced once again.